Monday, June 27th. Locations on the journey. Psalm 23:3 says, "He leads me in right paths for his name's sake." Imagine the paths of righteousness stretching out before you, way out into the distance. You cannot see the end, but you know that at the end of the journey is home, God's house. As you focus a little closer to you, do you see where the path leads? You can see some places clearly, but other parts are totally obstructed by large or dangerous obstacles. Sometimes the path disappears over a ridge. Some parts of the path are easy to walk along. Others are difficult. It was just like this as Israel traveled from Egypt to the Promised Land, and it is described the same way in this psalm. Identify from Psalm 23 the locations that David sees the sheep passing through when following the paths of righteousness as they make their way to the house of the Lord. But why are these paths called paths of righteousness or right paths? Here are 4 important reasons. First, they are the right paths because they lead to the right destination, the shepherd's home. Second, they are the right paths because they keep us in harmony with the right person, the shepherd himself. Third, they are the right paths because they train us to be the right people, like the shepherd. Fourth, they are the right paths because they give us the right witness. As we become the right people, we give glory to the Lord. They are right or righteous paths, whether the going is easy or hard. It is important to realize that when God leads us, it is not simply a question of us delivering a parcel to the destination. It is much more than guidance and protection. Like the many examples all through the Bible in which God is leading his people, whether it is leading Abraham by his promises or leading Israel by the pillar of fire and cloud, when God is guiding, it is always about his training his people in righteousness. How conscious are you that righteousness is the shepherd's priority for your life? How can trials change your life so that you better reflect the character of Christ? From the book Sons and Daughters of God, page 175, it says, "Human beings suffer much because they step out of the path that God has chosen for them to follow. They walk in the sparks of the fire they themselves have kindled, and the sure result is affliction, unrest, and sorrow, which they might have avoided if they had submitted their will to God." Whatever path God chooses for us, whatever way he ordains for our feet, that is the only path of safety. With the eye of faith, with childlike submission as obedient children, we must look to God to follow his guidance, and difficulties will clear away. The promise is, "I will instruct thee and teach thee." From the book Messages to Young People, page 102, it says, "If your steps are ordered by the Lord, you must not expect that your path will always be one of outward peace and prosperity. The path that leads to eternal day is not the easiest to travel, and at times it will seem dark and thorny. But you have the assurance that God's everlasting arms encircle you to protect you from evil. He wants you to exercise earnest faith in him and learn to trust him in the shadow as well as in the sunshine. The follower of a Christ must have faith abiding in the heart, for without it is impossible to please God. Faith is the hand that takes hold of infinite help. It is the medium by which the renewed heart is made to beat in unison with the heart of Christ. And from the book My Life Today, page 93, it says, "Our sorrows do not spring out of the ground. In every difficult and affliction, God has a purpose to work out for our good. Every blow that destroys an idol, every providence that weakens our hold upon earth and fastens our affections more firmly upon God, is a blessing. The pruning may be painful for a time, but afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness. We should receive with gratitude whatever will quicken the conscience, elevate the thoughts, and ennoble the life. The fruitless branches are cut off and cast into the fire. Let us be thankful that through painful pruning we may retain a connection with the living vine. For if we suffer with Christ, we shall also reign with him." The very trial that taxes our faith the most severely and makes it seem as though God had forsaken us is to lead us more closely to him, that we may lay all our burdens at the feet of Christ and experience the peace which he will give us in exchange. God loves and cares for the feeblest of his creatures, and we cannot dishonor him more than by doubting his love to us. Oh, let us cultivate that living faith that will trust him in the hour of darkness and trial. God bless.